Hi everyone, my name is Gabriela Gonzalez and I have been a kindergarten teacher for 2 years now out in Richmond, Texas and Lamar Consolidated ISD. I love teaching kindergarten. I think it's a great age to start exploring and really do some hands-on learning. And in order to enhance that, I use a lot of technology in my classroom. And my reasoning for this is that school is supposed to prepare you for the real world. Well, when these kids go home, probably even when they get into the car, the majority of them pull out an iPad or a tablet or some kind of electronic device. So my school of thought was to go with the grain instead of against the grain. And so I try to use tools like technology in order to get my students motivated about learning and about showing me what they know. So I kind of thought of this whole brand new way to teach kindergarten, which, like I already mentioned, includes a heavy emphasis on technology integration, accountability, fewer worksheets, peer-to-peer tutoring, leadership opportunities, and individualized assessments. And so I kind of want to talk a little bit about each of them. So already I've talked about integration of technology, and basically I have 10 iPads in my classroom that my 23 students share, and they go and they produce products instead of doing worksheets. So instead of completing like an addition, fact check, or whatever, they'll go and make collages on Pick Collage about 2 plus 3 equals 5, or they'll make videos on Show Me about how they're solving the problems and which addition strategy is their favorite. I also include homework assignments on Flipgrid where they'll do math assignments like, hey, here's my 3 addition problems. Can you help me find the answer? And that way there's kind of a discussion going on because they have to talk about the strategies that they use. If one student gets the answer incorrect, the other students are able to jump in and help that student fix it all on one website. It's very user friendly. My students love it and my kids love it. And I use Seesaw in order to hold my kids accountable. So in kindergarten, when they write, they don't always spell correctly or they don't always put the space in the right place. So sometimes it's hard for me as a teacher to really assess what they're saying if I don't go and pull each kid individually, which is hard because once again, it's a class of 23 students. So I use the app Seesaw. They'll go and do their writing assignment, and once they're finished, they'll go outside into the hallway and they're actually able to record a video about their paper. So sometimes they'll take a picture of their paper, sometimes they'll just record a video, but they'll narrate what their writing says. And so me, anywhere that I am, I can be at Starbucks, I can after the gym, anywhere that I am, I can pull up Seesaw and start listening to their narrations, and I can really start thinking about what kind of sound connections they're making to their words because I have their voices already there and I can follow along with their paper. It kind of eliminates the other problem in kindergarten because if you ask them like even 10-15 minutes later, hey, what did you write about? They don't remember. So this way they're able to be held accountable without me having to individually assess 23 students in that moment. I also love Seesaw because the parents get to look at their students' work and they're really involved. I write comments on there and the parents are able to see it in real time and really get an idea of what their student is doing at different points of the day. And so I think that that is a totally different experience than what you would get with a worksheet because a worksheet is not open-ended. So it's really only serving the middle third of your class because it's going to be too easy for some kids, it's going to be too hard for other kids. And so these open-ended assignments where they have to write and then go outside to present a video about their product really cuts down on the frustration of the kids that it's too easy for and the kids that are too high for because they're doing something that is on their level and they have that choice. And if it's on Flipgrid, their peers get to see their work and they just beam with pride. And for me as an educator, that's one of the best parts. I also include peer-to-peer tutoring because teaching is like the highest form of mastery. I feel like I think it was something like you remember 90% of the things that you teach instead of 10% being just auditory or visual. So I have my students that have mastered the content help the students that are still struggling with the content, and I feel that working with somebody on their level has really helped my students who are still struggling, especially with reading and with math, because they're able to see examples of other friends doing it on a level that they can understand, and sometimes in words that I can't reach them with. Like, they'll just say, you put the thing with the thing, and somehow that makes sense to them. And with this comes leadership opportunities. So because I pull my small groups and there's a lot of technology out in my classroom, I don't always have time to troubleshoot the app and figure out what's going on. So I have different students in charge of certain apps. So one kid will be in charge of Pick Collage, one kid will be in charge of Show Me, one kid will be in charge of Seesaw, and that way, if I'm in a small group, my students know to go and get that person that's in charge of the app and go ask them to troubleshoot. And this is a good way for me to get my small groups done, but it's also a good way to promote that autonomy and those leadership skills that I'm giving these students opportunities to have. And with those different apps comes individualized assessments. And I talked about this a little bit earlier, but basically, if I don't have worksheets, my students are able to show me what they know in ways that are comfortable with them. And so with what that means is that, okay, so you can't write 3 sentences about it because maybe you're still an early language learner, or maybe you're just not solid with your letter to sound linking yet, but you can go and pick another app to do and narrate yourself through it so that I know that you understand the content. It's just a gap that we're having with our putting the words that you're thinking about on a piece of paper. And I feel like that's really important for kids because it's not that they don't know the answer, it's just that they're not there yet to where they can articulate a thought onto a piece of paper. And I feel like that really just boosts their confidence as well. Another choice that I offer in my class is that we don't have assigned seats anymore. So there are no name tags on the table. I have a bunch of differentiated seating like cushions and scoop chairs, and I have these stools that rock back and forth, and I have a couple bouncy balls. And so I say a word, I say, okay, go. They know that they have 20 seconds to settle in. They grab the chair that they want and they put it in the spot that they want. They can even work on the floor with a clipboard. And the students know now where they work best. And all of this is just promoting independence. The less that I have to do for them as far as routine and classroom structure, the more successful they're going to be in the future, because they already have that expectation in mind that I'm not going to do everything for them and that they have to fend for themselves. And one of the things that I tell the kids sometimes is don't be helpless. I teach them to be problem solvers early on, whether that is with issues with friends or solving problems differently, like, hey, this pencil isn't sharpened, what do I do? I really let them try to figure it out first before I step in and intervene. These are all just certain things that I do in my classroom that I'm starting to promote to other people, because in my school district, at least, I don't really see a lot of kindergarten classrooms promoting this much independence and autonomy. I mean, a lot of it is still very teacher-centered, and so I'm taking a risk. There's still some kinks to work out, but when I go visit other districts and when I go and sit in on how they do things, it's very close to what I do. So I think I'm on the right track, and I can't wait to keep teaching and really refine how I do things in my classroom. Thanks for watching.